The battlefield was collapsing around them. The once great city of Kronopoulos, Kang's empire in the quantum realm, was reduced to fire and rubble. Explosions ripped through the skyline, buildings crumbled into the void, and time itself fractured in chaotic bursts as Kang's technology malfunctioned. The energy core, the very heart of his multiversal engine, pulsed violently, its swirling blue light surging with unstable energy. This was the endgame. Scott Lang, battered and bruised, stood between Kang and the portal that led to Earth 616. His breath was ragged, his vision blurred, but he held his ground. He had come too far to let Kang win. Across from him, Kang the Conqueror barely looked phased. He was injured, his armor was cracked, one of his eyes was bleeding, but he still stood tall, unshaken, his presence towering over Scott like an inevitable storm. His expression was cold, filled with a quiet fury that made it clear this was never a fight. This was a punishment. Kang took a slow step forward, his boots pressing against shattered remains of his throne. "You think this is victory?" His voice was calm, almost disappointed. "I have killed Avengers before. I have destroyed timelines. What do you think you've accomplished?" Scott tightened his fists. "We're not letting you leave." From behind, Hope Van Dyne appeared, bruised but determined. She hovered in the air, wings flickering, hands raised, ready for a final strike. Kang barely acknowledged her. Instead, he stared directly at Scott, tilting his head slightly. Then, without warning, he moved, faster than either of them could react. In a single motion, Kang extended his hand, and Scott felt a crushing force wrap around his body. His limbs seized, his chest tightened, his lungs burned. It was as if time itself had been stripped away from him, like he was being erased from existence. Scott gasped, struggling, but Kang didn't even blink. Hope's scream cut through the chaos. She charged, her body flickering in and out of quantum invisibility, moving faster than the eye could follow. Kang's hand shot out. Hope froze midair. Her wings spasmed violently. A second later, her body began to collapse inward, shrunken, then expanded, then shrunken again. Her screams turned into static noise, her form flickering like a broken projection. Scott watched in horror as Hope was torn apart by time itself. Then, in an instant, she was gone. Nothing remained. No body, no dust, no trace. Scott stopped struggling. His breath caught in his throat, his mind refusing to accept what had just happened. Hope was dead. Kang turned his gaze back to him. "You're next." Scott's vision blurred. He had to fight. He had to do something. With the last of his strength, he activated his regulator, shrinking down, slipping out of Kang's hold for a fraction of a second. He enlarged his fist mid-motion, aiming for Kang's face. Kang simply raised a finger. Scott froze in place. Kang closed his hand into a fist. Scott screamed as his body crumpled, bones snapping like twigs. His form collapsed inward, crushed by forces beyond understanding. The last thing Scott saw was Kang's cold, unrelenting stare. Then, darkness. Cassie Lang screamed. She had watched it happen, her father and Hope, both wiped from existence before her eyes. Her legs wouldn't move. Her hands trembled violently. She had lost. The portal to Earth, 616, flickered behind her. The last chance to escape. Kang slowly turned his head toward her. He hadn't forgotten about her. Cassie knew she should run, that she had no chance of fighting him. But she couldn't move. She had never felt fear like this. Kang took a step forward. "You're his daughter." His voice was almost casual. "That means nothing to me." Cassie braced for death, but then A surge of energy erupted from the core, blasting through the chamber. For the first time, Kang staggered. Cassie saw her opening. She didn't hesitate. She ran. Diving forward, she leaped through the portal. The last thing she saw was Kang standing at the edge of the crumbling battlefield, watching her escape. Then, everything went black. The quantum realm was collapsing. Kang stood at the center of it all, staring at the destruction around him. His empire was gone, his city obliterated. But none of it mattered, because he had won. With slow, deliberate steps, he approached the portal, the gateway to Earth. 616. It flickered, unstable, but still holding. He stepped through. The skies above New York rippled. A violent crack of energy split the sky, purple lightning flashing through the air. Civilians on the ground looked up in confusion, some reaching for their phones, others backing away as the very fabric of reality seemed to shake. A shadow formed within the rift. Then he emerged. Kang the Conqueror stepped into Earth 616. The city felt small beneath him, weak, fragile, unworthy. He inhaled slowly, taking in the air, the world, the timeline that had once stood against him. He exhaled. Then he raised his hand. The sky darkened instantly. Thunder rumbled, not from nature, but from something else. Kang's voice was quiet, but it echoed through reality itself. They exiled me. They thought they had won. I will burn them out of time. And with that, he disappeared into the shadows of the city. Kang the Conqueror was free. The multiversal war had begun. The sky over New York remained unnaturally dark. The storm that had arrived with Kang was not of this world. It was something deeper, something that twisted the very fabric of reality. Clouds swirled unnaturally. Lightning flickered between them in purple streaks, but there was no thunder, no rain, just silence. And then a ripple. A single wave of invisible energy passed through the world, unnoticed by most, but felt by those attuned to reality itself. Far from Earth, on the edge of existence, the Watcher saw everything. He stood at the precipice of the multiverse, his vast cosmic eyes widening as he observed the storm spread, not just over Earth 616, but across all timelines. Anomalies formed where none should exist. Universes blinked out like dying stars. His voice, deep and eternal, trembled as he spoke to no one but himself. He has returned. And this time, there was no stopping what was coming. Deep in the void beyond time, where the Council of Kangs had convened to manipulate and control the multiverse from the shadows, panic spread. The gathered Kang variants, Immortus, Rama Tut, the Centurion, and countless others, stood in their vast citadel, staring at the impossible. The screens which monitored all of time were shattering. One by one, entire universes disappeared. Not erased like He Who Remains had done from his throne at the TVA, but violently consumed, twisted into non-existence by an unstoppable force. Then, the doors to their chamber trembled. The most powerful Kangs in existence turned, their faces twisting into something none of them had felt in eons. Fear. Boom. The massive entrance doors exploded inward, and there he stood, Kang the Conqueror. Not a variant, not a pretender, the real one, the exiled one. His armor shimmered, crackling with quantum energy. But this time, it was different. The scars of the quantum realm were etched into him, the rage of countless lifetimes burning behind his eyes. Immortus took a cautious step forward. We exiled you for a reason. Kang's lips curled into a smirk, and yet here I stand. The Council of Kangs moved as one, activating their weapons, their technology. Entire armies of Kang variants appearing through portals. Kang the Conqueror tilted his head slightly. Then he raised a single hand. Time froze. Every Kang in the room seized in place, their bodies paralyzed mid-motion. Kang slowly walked forward, looking at each of them. "You all fear what I am." His voice was calm, almost amused. "You tried to replace me, to build your little empire without me, but you made a mistake." He turned to Immortus, the so-called leader of the council. "You forgot who the real conqueror is." Then, with a flick of his wrist, Immortus disintegrated into nothing. One by one, the other Kangs began to collapse. They screamed, but time itself rejected them, dissolving their very existence. Within seconds, the Council of Kangs was gone. Their armies, their cities, erased. Kang stood alone. The throne was his, but he did not sit. Instead, he turned his gaze to the multiverse. There was more work to be done. In the Sanctum Sanctorum, Dr. Stephen Strange bolted upright, gasping for breath. The vision had come suddenly, flashes of destruction, universes collapsing, screams echoing across time. He staggered forward, clutching the edges of the table, his hands shaking. Wong rushed into the room, concern flashing across his face. "Stephen, what is it?" Strange slowly turned to face him. His voice was quieter than usual. "We're in danger." Wong frowned. "From what?" Strange swallowed. "Not what. Who?" He took a slow breath, forcing himself to remain calm. "Kang has returned." Wong's face darkened. "I thought he was trapped." Strange shook his head. "Not anymore." He turned toward the window, staring at the sky, watching as the unnatural storm twisted the clouds. The multiverse is breaking. Across the world, heroes felt the change. Thor, standing on a distant planet, felt his past selves flicker in and out of reality. Memories shifting, time rewriting itself. He gripped Stormbreaker tightly, his eyes narrowing. Moon Knight, lost in Cairo, felt Mark, Steven, and Jake's minds split apart and then slam back together. He screamed, collapsing to the ground. Shang-Chi's 10 rings pulsed wildly, their ancient energy reacting to something beyond his understanding. The world was fracturing, and none of them knew how to stop it. As the sky continued to churn, a voice echoed across every world, every dimension, every reality. Kang's voice. "You thought you could exile me. You thought you could erase me. Now, I erase you." In that moment, entire universes blinked out of existence. Entire realities collapsed, and Earth 616 was next. The sky over Earth 616 had become a twisted vortex of collapsing timelines. The heavens cracked like broken glass, each shard revealing glimpses of different realities, some familiar, some unrecognizable. New York City flickered between past and future states, buildings warping in and out of existence. Reality was breaking. At the center of it all, Kang the Conqueror floated above the ruins, his hands raised like a god overseeing the death of a world. His armor pulsed with pure temporal energy, and his eyes burned with the cold fury of a man who had seen infinite futures and chosen destruction for them all. Below, the last defenders of Earth stood their ground. Doctor Strange, Thor, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Wong, and a few remaining heroes gathered atop the ruins of the Sanctum Sanctorum. Their world was collapsing around them, but they had no intention of going down without a fight. Strange's cloak fluttered violently in the storm, his fingers glowing with arcane symbols. He's rewriting existence itself. His voice was tight, controlled, but beneath it, there was something else. Doubt. Thor twirled Stormbreaker in his grip, watching as time itself fractured around him. His past and future selves flickered into view for brief moments before vanishing. Memories that never were. Possibilities that never would be. His grip on the weapon tightened. Then we stop him before there's nothing left to save. Kang slowly lowered his hands, looking down at them like insects beneath his boot. You waste your final moments clinging to hope. It's pathetic. Spider-Man crouched next to Moon Knight, glanced between the others. Okay, not gonna lie, this is way above my pay grade. But if I've learned anything, it's that we don't let time-traveling warlords monologue their way to victory. Just cause way one not you. Moon Knight, his eyes glowing with Khonshu's power, grunted. He's right. Let's shut him up. Shang-Chi adjusted his stance, the 10 rings pulsing wildly, feeding off the chaos in the air. Then, let's end this. The storm surged, and the final battle began. Thor was the first to charge, launching himself through the air, lightning cascading around him. He brought Stormbreaker down with all his strength. Kang caught it with one hand. The force of the blow shattered the earth beneath them, sending cracks rippling outward. But Kang barely flinched. His other hand shot out. A blast of quantum energy erupted, hurling Thor across the battlefield. Doctor Strange unleashed dozens of crimson rings of Ragador, trapping Kang in a web of arcane energy. Spider-Man swung in, webbing Kang's faceplate, while Moon Knight slashed at his armor with crescent daggers infused with celestial magic. For a moment, it seemed like they had him. Then, time buckled. Kang stepped outside of reality. 1 second, he was trapped. The next, he was behind Strange, his fist slamming into the Sorcerer Supreme's chest. Strange coughed up blood, crashing into the ruins of the sanctum. Kang moved like a ghost through time, appearing in multiple places at once. He struck Shang-Chi from behind, forcing the 10 rings to flicker with unstable energy. He grabbed Spider-Man mid-air and hurled him through a collapsing time portal, sending him into an unknown future. Moon Knight fought like a possessed warrior, Khonshu's power raging through him, but Kang merely raised a hand, and time unraveled the Egyptian god's avatar, forcing Mark, Steven, and Jake to flicker between identities, unable to act. Kang towered over them all, untouchable, unstoppable. "You think you are warriors," he said, his voice calm. "I have fought gods. I have killed time itself. You are nothing to me." Doctor Strange staggered back to his feet, wiping blood from his mouth. His hands shook as he conjured another spell, but he knew they were losing. They had already lost. Above them, beyond the physical plane, the Watcher observed in silence. He had seen countless realities fall. He had witnessed infinite tragedies. But never before had he felt this, a sinking, undeniable truth that even he was powerless against what was coming. Kang wasn't just conquering timelines, he was erasing them. For the first time, the Watcher hesitated. His oath, his purpose, his eternal duty to never interfere. But this wasn't just another multiversal war. This was the end. And if he did nothing, there would be nothing left to watch. With a deep, resigned breath, the Watcher raised his hand, and the entire battlefield froze in time. The heroes, barely holding on, felt reality shift around them. Kang, for the first time since his escape, narrowed his eyes. A booming voice echoed across existence itself. "Enough." The Watcher descended from the heavens, his massive form towering over the battlefield. His expression was grim, his eyes burning with cosmic power. "Kang the Conqueror, you have broken the natural order of the multiverse." Kang smirked, unfazed. And the Watcher's gaze darkened. "You have left me no choice." With a motion of his hand, he created a portal, a final, desperate escape. "One of you must go back," he said to the heroes. "Stop Kang before he ever escapes the quantum realm." The heroes exchanged glances. They understood. Only one of them would have the chance to rewrite history. Doctor Strange took a breath. He knew what had to be done. He stepped forward. "Send me..." The Watcher studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Go." Strange turned to the others. "If I succeed, none of this will have ever happened." His eyes lingered on Thor, Shang-Chi, and Moon Knight. "But if I fail, there is no future." Thor gripped his shoulder. "Then don't fail." Strange smirked. "I'll do my best." And then, he stepped into the portal. Doctor Strange emerged in the past, moments before Kang's escape. Scott Lang and Hope were still alive, locked in battle with Kang in the quantum realm. Strange didn't hesitate. With all the magic he could muster, he struck first. A crimson vortex erupted around Kang, binding him in chains of time itself. Scott and Hope watched in shock as Strange sealed Kang inside a collapsing pocket dimension, trapping him in a loop of nothingness. Kang screamed in rage, but this time he didn't escape. Time snapped back into place. Reality was restored. The multiverse was saved. Back in the present, Doctor Strange returned to the Sanctum. The battle had never happened. Kang had never escaped. The heroes who had fought and died no longer remembered. But Strange did. He knew what had almost happened. He knew Kang was still out there, and he knew that one day he would return.